Welcome in, everybody, to the CFB Nation All-America podcast. I'm Bill Trocchi, senior editor at sportingnews.com, alongside Bill Bender, our national college football writer at sportingnews.com, the president of the Football Writers Association of America. We're coming to you live on our CFB Nation YouTube channel again. If you want to subscribe, go over to youtube.com, search CFB Nation, and click subscribe. You will get little notifications when we're about to go live. We're trying to go live every Tuesday and Thursday morning during the season at 9:30 Eastern time. Bill, you spent the weekend in Happy Valley, which was unhappy for most of the game. Then it got happy. Then it ended up being unhappy again. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about resetting the SEC. And we're going to talk about a surprising run for Senate for one of your old buddies there down in Alabama. But first, let's kick it off with a little Trocchi trivia. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. Georgia saw its 33-game home winning streak snapped by Alabama 24-21 on Saturday night. Who has the longest home winning streak in the SEC? Ponder that one, and we will get back to it at the end of the show. So give that one a thought. There's been some big road victories in the league recently. So try to come up with who has the longest home winning streak in the SEC. That'll be our question.
That's a good one.
Thank you. I was happy with it. So let's talk about Happy Valley. Let's talk about, first of all, how easy it is to get in and out of a game to watch the Penn State Nittany Lions.
No, I mean, traffic was what it was. I mean, I got there super early. I always do. It is the best night environment in college football.
It was incredible. I mean, I've seen it before, but it just from TV, it was incredible. Tell me what it was like in person.
Oh, I mean, loud, and, it never gets old. They in the press box, they open the windows so you can hear it. Like it's really an amazing place at night, especially. And, the fans, the pageantry, all those things. But as I wrote in my column, there's a difference between a tough place to play, which it is, and a tough place to win, which top 10 teams are doing, and that's the frustration point here. They've played 8 whiteouts against top 10 teams. They're 2-6. So it's hard to argue that, these teams, it's tough to play there. And Dan Lanning said it's worth a touchdown. He's probably right. But they're white. That's the dirty little secret, that their record in these whiteout games against ranked opponents is not great. So this is the problem with Penn State. We've made a running joke of it, not a joke, but a running theme in our college football editorial meetings, where I've been telling you guys for 5 years, like, you guys are, and it's you guys, not me. It's like Penn State this year. I got to see them beat a top 10 team first, like a real one, not a real one in the Big Ten. I need to see them beat a top 10 Oregon, Michigan, or Ohio State, or Indiana in a couple weeks. If they don't do that, their playoff future could be a little dicey if they don't beat Indiana, and because they got to play Ohio State too.
Yeah. Did this game just boil down to Dante Moore outplaying Drew Aller?
Well, sort of. I mean, Dante Moore played very well.
He did.
In overtime, especially because Penn State. I like how Penn State punched back, and I think Drew Aller. We'll get into that in a second, but like just the way that they fought back, they were down 17-3. I really thought they were going to win the game. I did. And the 2 touchdown drives, it wasn't till they went down 17-3 that they kind of, Drew Aller played with the urgency, throws a great touchdown pass to Devontae Ross. They drive on the next drive. He has a 20-yard run. I mean, you said it that night when we were texting back and forth. I mean, the difference to me is Oregon had 6 plays at 20 yards or more. Penn State had like 2 in regulation. There's just a difference in pop in the offense. Oregon's got a little more pop on that side of the ball. And then it comes down to that they're wearing this top 10 thing. I always talk about stadium emotion. When I was at Ohio State, Michigan last year. I said, you could feel the tension. You can feel the frustration in that stadium because they want it so bad. Fans want it so bad. James Franklin wants it so bad. Drew Aller, but it's the same movie over and over again. So, Franklin owned that afterward, I applaud him for that. He came out and said all the things that he has to say, that they are facts. It's not a narrative.
Yeah.
So I can't say I feel bad, but I empathize with him because he knows what the problem is, and just for whatever reason they can't win these big games.
He said it saying all the right things. Yesterday he was like, one loss is not going to define our season. A couple losses isn't going to define his career, which it sort of is defining his career at this point. He does seem to have hit a ceiling. But back to Dante Moore for a second. So I started to notice during the game that he was almost incapable of dropping back in the pocket, waiting, throwing a 10, 15-yard pass from the pocket. Either he threw a little screen pass, a quick slant, something like that, where he got rid of it really quick, or he had to scramble out and play backyard football a little bit. And he did it in overtime. I mean, great move. Right? His winning touchdown, he avoided the sack and moved it. And so, I'm fine with it. It obviously works. I'm a little worried that that's not like a long-term formula for success, to always be scrambling out of the pocket and throwing it. Now, he got away with it Saturday night. It was his first game in a very difficult environment. They were in control of the game for 50 minutes. And then they answered the bell when they fell behind, right? So, it was good on him. But to me, it's just I just wanted him to stay put and throw a 10, 15-yard pass at some point. But good on, like I said, good on Oregon, good on Dante Moore.
I get what you're saying, but I just, in that game, you go in and win the game. He was up against a very good defense, and especially through the middle of the field. So I don't, in that intermediate range that I always talk about, you look at Pro Football Focus, he's 17 of 27, 5 touchdowns, no picks. So I think he's fine. They didn't throw the ball down the field a ton. I mean, maybe that's what you're getting at. They didn't, but I don't think that was the way to attack Penn State. He does freeze a little bit on his reads, but he was up against a very nasty Penn State defense. I mean, I would have to go back and look. By the way, real quick, Tommy Guns asked, when did they start these whiteouts? That I don't have the exact year, but it was during the Paterno era. They played Purdue. That was the first one. They played a Drew Brees Purdue team. They lost the game.
Wow, that's way back.
But it was a close game. And then Purdue, I'll go back find the ranking. Purdue was the top 10 team, and they lost. But it was a cool scene, and they kept doing it. But back to Dante Moore, he played well enough to win, and especially in the overtime, So, and then it switched back to Drew Aller. You're seeing videos of students saying obscenity word. I did that right. Drew Aller, which is just absurd. For 19, 22-year-old, it's a college kid. I know he's getting paid, but you're not Drew Aller. He's out there taking the hits, not you. I think he's a great kid. I do. I think he understands what's going on here. I think he made a bad throw. I don't think he's anywhere close to a first-round pick, though. And I've been pretty consistent about that. In these big games, he's probably a day 2 NFL quarterback, maybe day 3. In these games, he's struggling with his accuracy, but he did show fight again. So, he's a guy I'm rooting for. He's 1-6 against top 10 teams. I want him to do well because I appreciate that he keeps trying, and he says the right things afterward too. But it's kind of embarrassing from the Penn State fans that would be chanting that after a game, honestly.
Yeah. So the Penn State's last 3 losses had a Drew Aller late interception in the Big Ten championship game against Auburn, a late interception.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah,
Oregon, a late interception in the Orange Bowl against Notre Dame, and a late interception in overtime against Oregon again.
And then really rough games against. He's got one more shot at Ohio State. That's the chance right there. Go if he beats Ohio State and if he beats Indiana and Fernando Mendoza, we'll have a different conversation. But it's, this is life as Penn State's quarterback. That's what you sign up for.
All right, we spent 10 minutes on Penn State, but you were there. You did a great job, great column after the game, and you will be a home game this week. So you will just be reacting possibly to Vanderbilt, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Speaking of Vanderbilt and Alabama, let's reset the SEC a little bit after kind of an eventful weekend. Like we said, we mentioned that Alabama beat Georgia in Athens, 24-21. We had Ole Miss defeat LSU. Lane Kiffin got some trolls in immediately after the game, of course. I just want to go through the AP top 20 right now and see if this is the right order. We got Ole Miss at number 4, Oklahoma 5, Texas A&M 6, Texas 9, Alabama 10, and then Georgia 12, LSU 13, Tennessee 15, Vanderbilt 16, Missouri 19. Unbelievably, we've got 10 SEC teams in the top 20 right now. 40%. You have Ole Miss as your top in the college football projections, college football playoff projections that you do after each week. You have Ole Miss as the top SEC team. AP agrees with you. What put Ole Miss up to the top for you?
I have A&M as the top one.
Oh, you have A&M.
A&M, then Ole Miss. But it's funny. That's how the playoff picture looks. What I want to do today, I think I'm going to go through the schedules and see what I actually think their records are going to be and project it out that way, because I don't know what the answer is. I can answer what I think it is. I think the answer is Alabama. I think if you wanted NFL light, now you have it in this conference, because every week we change our minds. Like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Didn't we have Kalen DeBoer on the hot seat a couple weeks ago?
He was getting fired in week 1, and now they're arguably the best team in the conference. I think Ole Miss has a strong claim to that with Trinidad Chambliss, the way he's playing. If Vanderbilt beats Alabama this weekend, not only would they be a playoff team, you would have to consider them a real threat to win the SEC, which will be written. I was talking to Brian Fisher with Sports Illustrated over the weekend. He does a fantastic job, by the way. I was like, I still like Texas.
I was about to say, you haven't mentioned the preseason number 1 team
I
yet.
still like them a lot. I still think Arch is going to get better.
They were preseason number 1 for a reason, right?
And I like Texas because I still love their defense around the guys they have around Arch. So as Arch gets better, I still kind of trust them. And A&M sitting there undefeated, be like, talk about us. They keep grinding out these 1-score victories. And I'm discarding LSU and Georgia all of a sudden. It is very hard to stack this up. Oklahoma's ranked really high, but what about Mateer? So, yeah, you're literally doing the NFL right now. And as you know, and our listeners know, I'm a Green Bay fan. I've literally gone from like Super Bowl to fire half of this coaching staff in 2 weeks. That is how this works. But I do think if Alabama gets through Vandy, which is crazy to say out loud, that I would start to look at them as the team that, like, all right. Plus, that loss was a non-conference loss. So it doesn't hurt them nearly as much as we get in this grind. That Georgia victory was huge for them to go on the road and win.
Ty Simpson was awesome. I mean, you were watching the Penn State-Oregon game, of course. I hadn't that Florida State game. I was traveling to the Clemson-LSU game. I didn't really see it very much. I didn't see them play Wisconsin either for some reason. This was really my first chance to see Simpson. I've read he's really a different player from week 1. He was terrific. He was so poised. He was great at getting to the line, changing plays, been very decisive, knowing where the advantage was for his receivers, especially in the first half. They were moving up and down the field. They scored 24 points. Didn't score in the second half, interestingly, but protected the lead like they needed to do. And he was really good. He's actually the second-rated passer in the SEC. Do you know who's first? Diego
Pavia, yeah, of course. I was going to say John Mateer's probably not because he didn't play. And then the one team we didn't even mention, Tennessee. And we're leaving them out. And they win in overtime against Mississippi State, who's 4-0. and who's beat a ranked Big 12 team. And this conference is ridiculous. So I know we're going to talk about somebody else in a little bit campaigning for them, but there's a reason why. And I think in our latest playoff picture, we have 5 SEC playoff teams, and I don't feel the least bit bad about that. It's just stacking them up now versus what it might look like at the end are going to be 2 very different games. And there is the possibility you have a 3-loss SEC champion. It could happen.
There's this. It looks like the college baseball rankings, the AP top 20. I know you don't cover college baseball very closely, but you can be 8th in the SEC and 16th in the country, and that's currently the situation. Or I think Vanderbilt might be 9th. Yeah. According to the AP top 25, they're the 9th best team in the SEC, and yet they are 16th in the country.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's wild.
It is absolutely wild. You mentioned that Texas A&M as your leader, they couldn't finish drives. It felt like they were totally in control of that Auburn game, but they could never separate themselves. Then they gave up a defensive touchdown, had to sweat it out a little bit. How do you think that team went from scoring 41 against Notre Dame to 13 against Auburn?
They had a bad turnover in that game, and they're like Mike Elko afterward. I tend to agree with him. Like, stop being gloomy. We won the game. Talk about the stats that we did right. Auburn is a miserable team. I heard this stat on my drive home. Dari Noka, I believe, was. You'll have to go and look. Auburn's third down percentage is really bad. They cannot convert third downs in this game. I'm going to look it up just to tell you how bad it was. So they were 0 of 13 on third down. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So Texas A&M held them to 0 of 13 on third down. That's not going to get it done.
It's not going to get it done, man.
No, and I think the Aggies are pretty good, but they're still, if they were playing Texas tomorrow, I would pick Texas. If they were playing, I do like Marcel Reed. I do like what Le'Veon Moss, he had over 100 yards for the first time this season, what he adds to that running game. I like Mario Craver a lot. I think he's going to be a real strong midseason All-American candidate at receiver for them. So, yeah, it's just so much to sort out. And that's kind of something I want to do today. I know I'm going to be working on a feature on Diego Pavia as well, which we'll get into on the Thursday show.
Auburn is 110th in the nation on third down. Just
I knew it. Yeah. So Dari was right. I in that long drive home from Central Pennsylvania, I was listening to ESPN radio, and they've got Phil Pott and him did a really good job. It was a good show.
Gotcha. All right. Staying in the SEC, we had a coaching move. Sam Pittman gets fired after a sort of embarrassing performance against Notre Dame. Notre Dame had 42 points at halftime. Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director, said to guys, Sam had lost the locker room a little bit. He felt like they had played with exceptional effort during Pittman's, 4 or 5 years at Arkansas. Didn't really see that on Saturday. Didn't like the direction of the program. Wasn't a huge surprise. First of all, before we get into what Arkansas does next, how do you view Sam Pittman? He came in and he kind of rescued a program in total disarray, righted the ship for a little while. I wish I could remember which podcast I was listening to, but I thought it was a perfect description. He was a perfect bridge coach. He kind of rescued the program from a valley, and now they can kind of go out and get somebody who can fulfill the potential of a program that has college football playoff aspirations.
Yeah. He would be fun to go drink a couple beers with. That kind of guy, like Sam, and talk football and talk ball and listen to him talk. And I don't know if he was, as some of its resources. You heard Hunter Yurachek say that in the press conference. Like, does he have enough? Like, it's not like Arkansas is shelling out like Texas Tech is. So it's already a hard job. And there was a former editor at Sporting News, Troy Macker, and Matt Letofsky can verify the story. There was a time, like this was like 10 years ago, where we were arguing whether Arkansas or Michigan was the better job. And I was like, are you serious? Like, Michigan has so many more resources when they had, during like the Brady Hoke era, and Bielema was at Alabama. Or
The Ryan Mallett era?
Yeah, like they were good then, but I'm like, they haven't really won anything in my lifetime of significance. They haven't won a national championship since 1950. I love the program, love the traditions. I think that's right. I know some Arkansas people, they're going to fact check me on that 1950. I'm pretty sure it's true though. They've won SEC, they've gone to SEC championship games and things like that, but they've had fun players, but can they be a playoff contender? In order to do that, you're going to have to put more into the program. Their basketball team has done that with Calipari and all that. Can their football team do the same? I think Rhett Lashley's the ideal hire if they can go get him, former player. I was hearing, I didn't put him on the list. I should probably go in and add him. I've heard rumblings about Dan Mullen. And, you look at Mullen's track record at Mississippi State. And remember, Mississippi State was I always tell people they were number 1 in the country with a quarterback who lit up the Packers the other night. There's a second Packers mentioned. So it can happen. But I think, and then, we can talk about Gus Malzahn, but I'm not feeling that one as much as the other two if they were going to go in that direction.
They're also leaning towards potentially Bobby Petrino. Bill, Mike DeCourcy wrote a column for sportingnews.com this morning that this is the latest ugly example of a win-at-all-costs attitude of a school, welcoming back a guy who was kind of left them in the lurch. He left Louisville in the lurch. He left the Atlanta Falcons in the lurch, but he keeps getting second chances because he's a good football coach. He's a good offensive football coach.
Quick correction. They won the 1964 national championship. And of course, with Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones on that team. So the Petrino thing is, the memes are going around again. And obviously we all know the circumstances in which he was fired the first time, but he is a brilliant play caller. Great with quarterbacks. And this is the audition. If they actually, they could bring him back. And I think that incident is far enough back. And then we talked about winning games of significance. He did take them to a Sugar Bowl.
But it wasn't an isolated incident. That's the thing.
Right. Well,
issues at other schools too. He's
found plenty. He still finds coaching jobs. So, like I said, he knows how to coach offense, and we'll see how real that is. For me though, if I was them, I would go get Rhett Lashley. He's young. I like his presence. Took us now for Rhett. The question would be, okay, which one of these is the better job? I can't believe I'm saying it out loud, but you're an SMU, able to compete in the ACC. You've got that Dallas backdrop versus going to Arkansas, where we just talked about how many programs are good in the SEC. We didn't even talk about Missouri. That's how many we missed one. So it's going to be tough if you do it. They would love it, no doubt, but it's that middle class of the SEC is rough, man. You can go from penthouse to borderline fired in a hurry.
Would a coach stay at an ACC school over an SEC school? That is an interesting thought because they're not blue blood ACC yet.
Well, the second question is, would a coach leave an SEC school and go to an ACC school, which is probably getting asked of Shane Beamer pretty soon, with that Virginia Tech opening. So interesting times ahead.
Isn't it doubtful in both cases?
I would say yes.
The goal is to get in the SEC, and the goal is to get into the Big Ten for these coaches, isn't it? That's what
I agree. Well, if that would be the possible shakeup for sure.
Interesting. So, all right, and let's close the show before we do the Trocchi trivia with Paul Feinbaum. Paul Feinbaum, you've been on the Paul Feinbaum show several times in your career. You've gotten to know Paul a little bit. You guys like to go back and forth. You defend the Big Ten. He defends the SEC. He doesn't like your coaching rankings all the time. You guys
that's for sure. We had an argument about that. We had an argument about Arkansas, and I one of my favorite Feinbaum show moments was, there's Arkansas. It's timely that you say that, because he said it was harder to win at Arkansas than it was at Iowa State. And I'm like, No, and because of some over where like Matt Campbell and Sam Pittman were ranked in our coach rankings. And, if Paul's out there, I love him, but I got that one. I won out of those two. I think I got that one right.
Declaring victory on that one.
One little one. And, I know we're going to talk about his, so you can let our listeners know the full thing. I mean, obviously he's considering a senatorial run in Alabama. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did an interview with Clay Travis about potentially running for Tommy Tuberville's seat that's about to come open. He's 70 years old. Bruce Pearl was rumored to be considering running for Senate once he retired from Auburn basketball. He said he is not interested a few days ago, and he will not be running for Senate. Now this Feinbaum thing has popped up, and he said he is going to make a decision in the next 30 to 45 days and figure out what he wants to do next. But it seems very intriguing to him. He wasn't dismissing it. He seems like he's going to weigh the pros and cons. He does feel like he has a strong connection with the state. He obviously has superb name recognition within the state. And so we'll see what happens with it. I just want to talk to you a little bit since you've interacted with him over the years. Do you think that he would really follow through at age 70 and financially very, very, very well off?
I mean, maybe. And he was very candid with that conversation with Clay. And I think, there was, without going too far down the politics thing here, as he said, he said that's bad for business in sports. That if you want to talk politics all the time, it's not going to be bad or not being good for business. I know ESPN has there's a section of college football fans that like to label SEC or ESPN as very liberal. And then there's others that label, Fox as very conservative. And I think because of we can kid ourselves like they have Fox News, no question. And to me, which, being a journalist and I hope it's a reflection in my writing, I would say like, just keep it right down the middle. You go too far right, you go too far left, you might get more clicks, but that's just how I live my life. I try to keep it moderate, and I agree with some things on both sides. So, and I think Paul, obviously some of the highlights of that are people are going to jump on the fact that he voted for Trump. Well, a lot of people voted for Trump. He won the election. So, I mean, is this how we're going to do this? I do think he is.
Yeah, he said he was going to run as a Republican.
If he's a Republican, he probably voted for Trump. That's not, and I don't personally care. It doesn't reflect what, he does for college football. And like he said, you spend 20 hours a week, and I can relate to this. When you spend a large part of your existence talking college football and writing college football and living college football, maybe he wants to do something else. I don't personally want to do that, but like I get it on some level. Like, so, and what an interesting race that would be in Alabama between him and Tommy Tuberville. I don't know if that's, you could say, well, that's not, that's just horrible and this
no, I don't think Tuberville's running
show. Oh, so he's not.
No, it's for his empty seat. I think.
Oh, so he's out.
He's going to run for governor. I think.
Well, you could say it's a clown show and all that, and for attention and a reflection of the state of Alabama. I don't agree with that. Jim Tressel's lieutenant governor up here in Ohio.
Tom Osborne, Nebraska.
Yeah. Tom Osborne. There's Steve Largent. There's a ton of them. Jack Kemp. Like Tressel, I know is very active here in his position, probably because he can't sit still. I just know Jim can't do that, but he's very active, cares very much about the state of Ohio. And the name recognition and the fact that he went 9-1 against Michigan helps. But so I don't have a problem with it at all. If that's what Paul wants, I think he's a great human being. He's very entertaining. He's funny. He's wrong about the SEC sometimes, but we've had some great back and forth. I actually owe a little bit of my career, I would say, because some of those early podcasts or early appearances kind of helped me get going. So I'll always have a nice thing to say about Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, that would be something. I tell you what. So, all right, before we get out of here, let's get back to our Trocchi trivia question. Georgia Saw its 33-game home winning streak snapped by Alabama, 24-21. On Saturday, who has the longest SEC home winning streak now? Not
what's the number?
Not just SEC games, the home winning streak.
What's the number?
15.
It's probably Alabama. But this feels like a trick question.
It's a trick question.
So it's not,
Alabama has 14. You are extremely close, Bill. Alabama, 14-game home winning streak. And on that note, Kalen DeBoer has a personal 24-game home winning streak stretched across Fresno State, Washington, and Alabama.
Right. So it's is it Texas?
It is not Texas.
Now I don't know. Just tell me who. No, I don't know. If it's Vanderbilt, that's just self-serving. There's no way it's them.
The Missouri Tigers, Bill.
There you go. Oh my gosh.
There's your trick question. 15 straight home victories. They're actually 21-1 in their last 22 home games.
Who's the loss to? Georgia? Probably.
The loss was to.
I'll look that. Yeah, we'll have to look that one up. That's impressive. And we barely talked about them among the contenders.
So they're 21 and that 21-1 streak, in the home winning streak of 15, only 2 of the 15 teams were ranked, which I don't know how you do that while still being in the SEC. One of the 2 ranked teams was number 24 Boston College. So Missouri has kind of dodged all of the good teams in the SEC, and they've suddenly have a 15-game winning streak. Alabama is their next home game. So
we'll see if they can keep that going. Alabama's still everybody's big game.
That's right. So anyway, all right. Well, that was fun. Thanks to everyone for joining us here. We have an active chat today. It's great. And we'll be back Thursday morning to preview week 6. Thank you to everyone for listening on the podcast feed at the Spotify and Apple. Thank you to Irish Breakdown, your source for Notre Dame football information. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you soon.